This is the 1924 Model T that was used by Gamela Bakery for deliveries, and this is Gamela Bakery, still in operation. I'll go for a quick walk around town, and then I'll come back here and have my second dose of this before I leave town. The Aspergy, I'm guessing, was a 1910 hotel. May still be. This is the classic old Norwegian home of 1850. Same design as the original. It's still in Reykjavik. We'll walk down this little street. Here we look like the whole neighborhood is these older buildings, although this is wood rather than the metal of most of them. Pretty door with an applique carved on it. Some treatment that's interesting on an old unrestored building. If I do this right, you might actually think most of this town is the old homes. Older home with no intention of restoring it. This one we saw earlier this morning coming from the opposite direction. I wonder if this might have been a dual home or a hotel. Cute little place. Here we have an old house, this one in wood, and back there older ones in the metal. Notice how they've redone some of, added decks, that sort of thing, but tried to keep it in the style. 1896. Got a cute little boat in there. The older gentleman I talked to a moment ago, he's one who is of the older generation, does not speak any English. But this was his boat, it still is. It's 1898. It's about the time the Klondike Gold Rush was ready to start. Some nice old woodwork on this building that required some effort in its day. That looks like a modern tile up there. I wonder if the simplicity of the newer buildings and their lack of interesting color is simply a reflection of the earlier architects, which was very simple. Out of necessity, I suspect. Although in many countries where there isn't much else of interest, like deserty areas, you'll see some pretty dramatic colorations. I think here the problem was survival, and painting your house was not one of those survival issues. These are the macho rigs here that actually have some function, probably and particularly in the wintertime. Here looking out to sea, or out to another bigger fjord that leads to the sea. Remains of an old dock, I imagine. And a fishing trawler coming back in. A couple of older homes. At 3.5 stories, this must have been one of the major buildings, and these big windows down here suggest salons. Guessing that these windows are all recent replacements. This was certainly an innovative corner in its day, here anyway. You know what this would have been initially? Large windows in front, somewhat smaller but still impressive the rest of the way. Had to be impressive in its day. My guess is same architect, same builder, or same owner, or combination of. This is my camping spot for tonight. I am one fjord south of Isafjordur with spectacular views. It's a little bit after 5. Should be quite a sunset. Take a look at that falls, not the one just over the car, but up there a little farther. I tried hiking up through that, what looks like brush, but in reality what it is all a drainage. So it's very soggy. It's like walking on a mattress, like two mattresses, except when you find a tussock of bush, then you can stand on that and avoid getting into the water. I used my poles to find those places, but it was tedious going, not much fun. The two guys that are hiking up there went by and their car stopped and blew their horn, not in the way that you would blow your horn to say hi, but rather, no. Another lovely day. Not absolutely clear skies, but lots of blue. A little bit earlier this morning, the sun put a red glow across the top of those ridge lines up there as it tried to fight through the clouds behind me. This morning we drive down the northeast side of Isafjordur and into North Iceland. Once in a while I'll see skid marks on the highway, and the reason for that is these sheep. They will park, as they did across the fjord a few minutes ago, literally stand right in the middle of the road. And at night, particularly if it's a dark black sheep, you're not going to see it till you're right on it. And unlike hitting a deer, not only do you pay for your deductible on your insurance, you also pay the farmer for his sheep. Interesting how sound carries, I think, particularly over water. Right over there, I can hear the sound of someone pounding with a hammer. At first I thought it was rifle shots, but then I realized that what's interesting to contemplate as we've driven around these numerous huge fjords is that once, presumably in the last 14 to 16 million years, all of this was a big, huge, solid landmass. But then with a huge, thick ice cap for presumably millions of years, that's slowly wore out as the ice cap glaciers, if you will, flowed downward with their huge, immense pressure and gouged out these fjords, just like the canyons and the detons over here, colossally greater. Notice that. Wonder if we'll get close to that one today. See how there's so much water up above it? I stopped here to get a view of what looked like a totally different terrain than we've seen in the Westfords up to now. Instead of the big whale-headed huge headlands that we've seen around the fjords, here we have relatively modest hillsides, all eroded down from their blockier plateau-like design. Seemingly a lot more foliage on them, but mainly they're just lower. And here you can see a valley that arches up there to the right and then off to the left, and the same thing there. Why that occur, I don't know. Would the ice cap have just been different here? Was the amount of lava extruded here different? I don't know. Just seemed an interesting counterpoint. All throughout Iceland you see, so far, you see small herds of horses like this. Nice looking horses. But I don't know what they're used for. Once in a while you'll see somebody riding a horse. Once in a while you'll see a horse riding concessionaire. But that's it. It's alleged that they eat horses like they do cows and sheep. And that's understandable. But do they eat that many? And it's interesting, unlike sheep, which just panic when the car gets around you, of them. The horses all stop, all focus generally on me. Oh no, kind of aggressive horn blowing. So I decided, I looked around, couldn't find anything that was wrong or dangerous, but I decided to turn around on my own accord anyway. Now I see they're going up there. My guess is that the water actually flows down through that canyonette, even though you don't see falls, and then just spreads out like a delta all across the surface of the lava underneath this boggy vegetation, and comes in against the road in many places, and you can see there's almost a river all alongside the road. It's hard to find a place to jump across that safely because all this grass is boggy before you get to it.